A best friend broke my heart years ago, and I guess I've been gun shy to commit to another one.
If I had known, I would have kissed you, okay, Jason? I'm sorry. I just wasn't comfortable at that point in my life, and you've held it against me ever since.
Hello and welcome to the 43rd episode of the Implied Nerdity podcast. My name is Jared.
I'm Justin.
I'm Teresa.
And I'm Jason. I'm just talking normally. I don't know why it makes you laugh. I'm just saying my name like a person.
For what it's worth, Jason, I never really thought you just sounded normal to me. Just normal old Jason. Very straightforward.
Unhappy to be here.
Not too excited, not too depressed, just right in the middle.
Right? I'm not trying to ride any emotional highs here. I'm trying to live that centered Zen life, you know?
Yeah, make sure your chi and your chakra are all aligned with your other stuff.
I'm having my spleen removed, so my internal feng shui is better.
Are you actually having it removed?
No. See?
You see what happens when I get excited?
Yeah.
I lie. I get excited and I lie.
Why about spleens?
Right. I put my energy into telling creative lies instead of into
naturally being happy around others.
Putting energy in my voice. I only have so many calories and they're all going to my brains.
They're all going to my lie parts. Speaking of which, this advertisement brought to you by a Jason Paris attorney.
Oh.
He puts all his energies in his lie parts.
Never heard that joke about lawyers before.
Sweet, I just told the first original lawyer joke in decades.
Yeah, good work.
I'm also a lawyer, and I'd like to advertise on this podcast. You can find my services. Email us, impliednerdity@gmail.com. I will represent you. It's on the up and up, so
that is going to be the first email we get.
Oh, God.
Dear Jared, I killed a guy.
Are you actually a lawyer?
Can I get in trouble for giving legal advice even though I have no...
that's a crime.
People represent themselves in court all the time.
Unlicensed practice of law is
What if I say, I'm not a lawyer, but I want to give you legal advice?
I mean, that's a great question. It might depend on the state.
Because that's what I'm saying right now, baby. Email me. I'm not a lawyer, but I want to give you legal advice.
And what about people who represent themselves in court? They're not attorneys. That's not illegal.
But they don't say that they're attorneys. I think that what's illegal, it's kind of like saying that you're...
It's unlicensed practice of law. It's like unlicensed practice of medicine.
Okay, so as long as you don't call yourself a lawyer, doctor, you're fine.
What if I'm in court? What if I'm in court and every time I look at the judge, I say I'm not a lawyer and then I wink?
I'm not a lawyer and I have an eye tick.
Actually, I want to go to law school now so that I can do that. Just that specific bit.
Wait, you want to go to law school?
It's going to be very expensive and involved, and wink at them every time. Yes, it's a long prank, but
I rest my case.
Counselor Cambria, Counselor Cambria Brennis, you understand you have a law degree, right?
Do I? Wink.
I spoke at your school. We met.
Wink, wink, wink. I might be also having a seizure. It's fine. Look away.
And that's episode 43 of Implied Nerdity. How not to be a lawyer.
No, it's not getting any better than that. We should just call it quits.
That's it. So, Jason, hire Jason's lie parts.
Oh my God.
Speaking of lying, Netflix is only streaming. That's a lie.
Sort of, maybe.
Oh my God. Oh, I know I complain about all of our transitions because they're all bad, but I feel like if we had a top 10, that would be in the running.
Of the best, thank you, I know.
Jared, I don't know what you're talking about, but I heard that Netflix wants to buy movie theaters.
Justin, go make your lunch.
Yeah, right. I don't know. So I'm gonna do that thing where I start talking about the article because nobody has volunteered to talk about the article.
Hey, Teresa, tell us about the article.
Well, to be fair, didn't you just talk about it?
Sort of. No, go ahead, Jason.
I mean, whoever wants to jump in. So this is one of those things that, like, on the face of it is like, that's stupid.
I did not think
Why
that.
would you do that? But the more they sort of explain why, the more it makes a lot of sense. I mean, at the very least, if Netflix had... So Netflix wants to start opening up brick and mortar movie theaters, I assume with Netflix original content. And I think the big idea is they want access to prestigious awards shows so that they can keep drawing top talent to make Netflix original movies and shows.
Right, but the reason that they can't show, like the reason that Netflix originals do not appear in regular movie theaters is that movie theaters will not allow Netflix to same day release on streaming services as they do in theaters because they think it's too risky and no one will go, which I think is ridiculous.
I mean, my big question here is they're talking in the article about how they want to show their movies because they want to get them in theaters for consideration for Oscars and other awards. And that's fine because, you know, some of the performances that are offered in Netflix original content certainly are worthy of awards. Most of them are not, but some of them are. But that notwithstanding, they also were talking about like doing the shows, like showing a full run of like Lost in Space or Altered Carbon up on the big screen. And that's okay, I guess, but there are so few, like the shows are really what people like. The movies, what is a Netflix original movie, non-documentary, that really wowed anybody? I can't even think of one.
I couldn't tell you because I don't watch movies.
I mean, maybe this is part of why. This is part of, you know, they've got a good footing in making solid shows, and perhaps part of what has kept them from really being able to break out with original movies hasn't been budget. I mean, they put out a Will Smith movie, but is, you know, maybe behind the camera talent and without any sort of access to awards shows, to, you know, professional plaudits. You're cutting yourself off.
Yeah, and I also think there's something to be said about, even with the TV shows, like streaming an episode or doing like a marathon kind of thing. I would remind Justin that he went to go see an episode of Doctor Who that premiered in the movie theater.
But that was the premiere episode. That's one thing.
Okay, so if there was like the premiere episode of Altered Carbon or Lost in Space, and they showed it in a movie theater, I think a lot of people would go.
But you'd need to have, like, it wouldn't be those shows that they would do that for. I think they would do that for shows that already have, like, an established audience base. Lost in Space, Altered Carbon, these are brand new concepts that just came out.
Altered Carbon is already super, super popular. I would say that by season 2...
That's what I'm saying, though. Season 2, okay, show the first episode. But that does not legitimize opening a chain of movie theaters.
But they already have a ton of really, like, popular things that people watch for seasons.
I mean, think about, you know, you got a 10-screen movie theater, and screen 1 is going to be showing, you know, every Monday the next episode of Stranger Things, and if you want to come by, we're going to be showing it all week. You know, there's a lot you can do with this.
Or like around Halloween, are you telling me that no one would sit and binge Stranger Things in a movie theater? Because I don't even like movie theaters, and I would fucking go.
Then team up with Fathom Events and use established movie theaters for this stuff.
But why? You could make so much more money.
I would not. I am one consumer, so this in no way influences their decision. I get that. I would not pay for a Netflix subscription and then pay to go and see these things in the theater.
They said you would get a discount if you're a Netflix subscriber.
But I don't care. I'm not paying you twice for something I could pay for once and watch at home.
Yeah, but what if it's a different experience?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, what if it's not just a regular movie theater? What if it's like somewhere? There's a lot of places now that you can have like a dining experience while watching a movie. Or
I went to one of those for the first time a couple weeks ago.
And it's awesome.
The best.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I've been to one of those theaters, and the gimmick didn't wow me.
But where was it?
Doesn't matter that it was in Florida.
It was in Boca, where everything is old and terrible.
But the concept still stands. There was an upper balcony with really comfortable couches with tables. You ordered food and alcohol. They delivered it to you. You got
Why didn't you like it? Though?
It didn't do anything to improve the movie-going experience for me. There was nothing about the movie going.
Justin likes uncomfortable chairs.
No, it's just I also
Sticky
don't think
seats,
I want to be hungry. I want to be thirsty.
No,
I want to miss parts of the movie to go get stuff.
Let's discuss the fact No, because you can get everything you need before the movie starts, first of all. I also think that it's gimmicky that we have these new, like the movie theater in our town now, every single seat in the movie theater is a recliner that reclines. And you have to buy all of your tickets in advance because it's assigned seating, and all this other I mean, it's all improvements.
I hate convenience. I hate being comfortable.
Okay, also, I don't understand what his problem is. These recliners are very comfortable, and I would just like to say that the last movie that I saw in a non-reclining place, I had recently broken my tailbone, and I have never been more uncomfortable. Like, if you think movie theater seats are uncomfortable regularly, try sitting in one like a month after you've broken your tailbone. It was during Avengers, and I thought I was going to fucking die.
Wait, so why don't you like reclining chairs?
Oh,
it's Justin. He doesn't like anything.
I'm not saying I don't like reclining chairs. I'm just saying that these are not things.
Why is this popcorn so fresh?
They're not going to draw me out of my house to pay again a company that I've already paid a monthly fee for to be able to go and watch at home. You want to?
Well, you're not the audience then, because I'm someone,
and I love going to the movies. I'm going to put that in there. My wife hates going to the movies. I
was
wish I
just
went
going
to
say
the
you
movies.
sound like you don't like going to the movies because
I know, right?
everything you've described is like why movies have gotten better.
No, I'm saying those are not the trappings that would get me out of the house to watch Netflix in a movie theater, is what I'm saying.
What would it take to get you in a movie theater to watch Netflix?
Yeah,
what would it take
you
to get you in a movie theater to watch Netflix?
It should be no additional charge to Netflix subscribers.
But what if it's not something that shows up on Netflix right away? What if it's like for the first, month or two, it's going to be just in our theaters, and then you can see it, then it'll release on our streaming services afterwards.
If I know that it's coming to streaming, I can wait.
I would also argue that there is something to be said for the experience of seeing certain things on a large screen in a movie theater environment.
But you can't compare Go on.
Here's the thing. I don't particularly like going to the movies for like all movies, but I like going to the movies if it's like Star Wars or a superhero movie or some kind of motion picture where the large format and surround sound is going to make a difference in the experience. And I think that there are plenty of Netflix shows where that matters, and I would go and watch that. Whereas you can't get me out of the house to watch some stupid fucking rom-com because I can just stream it later and it doesn't matter whether it's small or big.
But that's the majority. Netflix is not going to suddenly just put out nothing but explosively big
But
adventure
they already
movies.
do a bunch of explosive big adventure stuff or sci-fi, or they have this content.
They've really been leaning into that and like horror movies. Movies that would go well in a movie theater.
Does anyone here have MoviePass?
No.
Does anyone know what that is?
I would love to buy MoviePass, but it would be a waste of $8 to $10 a month because I would have to go by myself, and the little time I like to go to the movies, I would like to go with my wife.
Oh my God. This has become a totally different conversation. Justin is having one conversation.
No, but MoviePass actually seems like a great deal.
It's awesome. I have it. I use it constantly. It's the best thing in the world.
I can't figure how they make money on that.
I have no idea either. It's like you go once and it already pays for itself, but I can see like 30 movies in a month.
Is it that you get one ticket a day or one ticket?
Once a day, yeah.
Yeah, once a day you get a movie, and it costs what, $10 or $15 a month?
$10 a month.
$10 a month. Yeah, it's a really
That's insane.
Yeah, it's a good deal. But it's not 3D movies or anything. You can only see just like the regular ones.
That's fine.
Right?
I don't like 3D movies.
I don't want to see
barf.
those anyway.
Yeah, that's fine. I was just saying. What do you mean, guys? That's one of the coolest things. You don't like going to movies with progressively new features and technology?
3D movies make me sick, so no.
A really
chairs are
well-made
comfortable.
superhero movie with tastefully used 3D can be a lot of fun.
Tasteful nudity.
I mean, as long as you're not watching it with me and I don't barf on your lap. Yes.
Yes, correct. Well, if they do it right, I don't know. I sat down.
If you barf on his lap just right.
Just right. No, I sat down for this one movie. What was it? Oh, Suicide Squad is supposed to be in 3D. And something was messed up with the projectors, so the picture was weird, and then when you put on the glasses, it was like painful. But they fixed it. The end. Good story.
Well, when you watch the movie normally, it was still painful to watch, so it didn't really matter.
But Harley Quinn is so good.
It was kind of a mess, but I didn't have high expectations going into it. Whatever. MoviePass sounds awesome. I'm sure it's like
either.
I'm sure it's like a Facebook thing where they're collecting data on you and something.
That's all right. They just know that I see a lot of movies, which is fine by me.
They're not a sponsor, but if they wanted to be.
Yeah.
I don't know. This thing sounds great. I would love to go see, like, Netflix comes out with a ton of original content. They're constantly buying stuff from other countries and putting it on their platform. So, like, if they could bring some of those experiences to, like, a bigger theater, it would get me to go out. I mean, I already go out to the theater all the time, but I would go out to these specific Netflix theaters because I'm guessing they're going to do something different too. Netflix revolutionized, like, the whole streaming service. I bet they would try to revolutionize the theater going service in some experience.
For patrons like Justin, they could have a bare cinder block room where they, on a really small screen, show a TV show.
They
and
chain you to the wall.
Right.
It's a 14-inch cathode ray tube television.
Right.
Why wouldn't I just stay home?
I don't
That's a
understand.
But
great
that's
question.
the argument for never going to the movies, period. Like, if you're like, it's eventually going to be on streaming, well, yeah, every movie will be.
That's my argument all the time for movies, and he gets so mad at me. So I feel like I fall into the Twilight Zone.
No.
I don't understand what's happening right now.
No, the thing is, like, but the problem is that's for, like, big movies that are, like, I want to go see in the theaters. I've never scrolled through Netflix and seen their little Netflix original logo on a movie and been like, man, that's a movie I really want to see.
Well, you've never heard of any of them because they don't have massive advertising campaigns and they don't have trailers before the movies you did see and yada,
Also,
yada, yada.
I would like to add the caveat that Justin does not watch much television, and also even less does he watch Netflix. So, like, it's not like you...
I watch a lot of Netflix.
It's not
Yeah,
like
I
you
watch a
scroll
ton.
through Netflix very often.
I'm looking at a list here of some of the films that Netflix has produced recently.
And you don't know what any of them are about. So
yeah, I mean, but I don't see any of them here that, like, anybody really even talked about.
What do you mean by anybody? Like, because, like, I hear about Netflix stuff all the time. I could name probably like 30 Netflix movies off the top of my head that I've watched, like, last year. Of, like, different movies. No, I'm not saying they're all good, but of varying degrees. But, like, things that I've heard about. Like, I follow specific people who review movies on like, YouTube and Twitter and whatnot. So, like, I'm always hearing people talk about stuff. So, like, it depends on, when you say nobody, I guess it depends on where you're looking.
Well, I mean, let me rephrase that. The ones that I've heard talked about, it's always negatively.
That's fair. The Netflix movies tend to get more press because, like, we wish it was better. Although, I got it. Okay. So, veering off on a tangent, this is an unpopular opinion. I didn't think Bright was all that bad. I enjoyed it. It was a decent movie experience. I don't understand why everyone ragged on it so hard. Putting that out there.
Anybody see the Netflix original Final Fantasy XIV Dad of Light?
No, but
I did not
will.
see that. Yeah, right? I'm adding it to my queue right now.
Hold on, we need to see what this is. Oh no, it's going to make me watch it.
And this is sort of something that has come up before about Netflix. Not shows as much, but movies definitely. Netflix movies have sort of occupy this space that Hollywood has completely abandoned, which is movies that don't have to be massive budget and don't have to be the best movie you've ever seen, are just solid, well-made, entertaining movies.
Yeah, but also, I think that part of it, like, I mean, and those are all good movies that are, like, a good thing to have. But also, because they couldn't win accolades or anything, like, why would they try? Like, if they're automatically disqualified, why would they necessarily try to make something?
Why would anybody care about the Academy Awards is what I find more perplexing.
Because it gets,
I mean, it's a resume point.
Yeah.
And if you're, like, a talented young director, you know, getting an Academy Award nomination probably ups your salary, ups your, you know, job potential in the future.
Think about it this way, too, though. Even if you are, like, a movie writer and you have this script that is so fucking amazing, are you going to take it to Netflix where you're not going to win any awards, but you might get some accolades? Or are you going to fucking take it to somebody that's going to get you to the Oscars? You're going to take it to the Oscars.
But that's a problem with Hollywood. Like, the fact that Hollywood is so, like, insular and they just... It's like, okay, whose turn is it now to get the award? Because they don't reward movies that actually do anything.
Of course not.
Interesting. Yeah. So, like, why? Like, it's so stupid. Like, Hollywood just needs to change completely. And I don't think Netflix should feed into that. The thing I liked about Netflix is that it's kind of, at least it seemed like it was trying to destroy Hollywood in some ways, which would have been awesome.
Well, I'm still scrolling through the list here of Amazon original, or not Amazon, Netflix originals. I've moved to a new company. Netflix originals here, and I, as of yet, have not found, literally all
Justin,
it is.
You have not done anything except for look at pictures and titles.
But what I'm saying
you don't know what any of this is about.
The majority of what I'm seeing is stand-up specials. That's great. Oh, here's that Polka King movie. I know what that's about. We
watched
that.
I mean, if do you want a recommendation?
Do it.
So I thought
before you say any other words, know that this means I'll never watch it. But go ahead.
That's fine.
I might watch it.
I thought the movie Arc was a fun little sci-fi thing. It's a kind of got a Groundhog Day time loop thing going on, and I think they play with it in an interesting way, and I enjoyed watching it at the end.
There you go.
I saw Arc. I love Groundhog Day movies. I didn't think that one was great, but it wasn't terrible. There's a bunch of really good, if you even care about Rotten Tomatoes, not that you should care, but there's a bunch of movies on there that ranked in the 80 percentile and above, or the 20 percentile, whichever way you do it. Which way do you do it? I don't know.
Whichever one's the good one.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this much. I was not aware as to how much original content they have put out, because there is just a lot.
It's a lot. So, expecting it all to be good is a little silly, right?
I'm not expecting it all to be good, but I'm also sometimes I see a movie poster and I'm like, hey, that looks good. I'm at least expecting to see something that I can be like, oh man, yeah, that's something that looks pretty awesome that I might watch in the theaters. And I still haven't come across that. Unless I wanted to watch a bunch of stand-up specials. I mean,
the posters aren't enticing you enough, I guess.
Well, I mean, if they never have to appear in a movie theater, why bother making a good poster?
I can name 10 movies right now on Netflix that are super good.
How many of them are documentaries?
None of them.
Okay.
Also,
ahead.
would that necessarily matter?
Mudbound, 1992 or 1922, the Merowitz stories. What did I just named 3? Give me a minute. I don't feel at home in this world anymore.
Was that a
Gerald's
comment
Game.
of this, or was that a movie?
No, I'm so
yeah, right.
I don't know. Whatever.
Thinking.
There's tons of there's good stuff out there. We got other stories to talk about. Justin's crazy. I don't know what he's talking about.
Oh, I just watched one the other night that I thought was good.
You know what's going to happen here is that we're sitting here and I'm taking this strong stand, and then Netflix is going to open a movie theater by our house.
Is this going to be your Pokemon Go?
And then they're going to open a theater by our house, and then that'll be a story a year from now, and I'll be like, guys, Netflix opened a movie theater by our house. I'm going.
It's so comfortable and convenient.
And they serve food. How ingenious. I love everything about this. I went and watched the entirety of Fuller House. I haven't been out of the theater for a week.
Oh, yeah. As somebody who watches The Ranch on Netflix, I don't even know why I'm even having this conversation with you.
Excuse me, but I haven't watched The Ranch in forever.
Jason, what movie did you see?
Oh, I just saw Shimmer Lake, and I thought it was super good.
Yeah, I enjoyed Shimmer Lake. Rainn Wilson's in it. It's pretty good.
Anyways, so I totally agree with Justin that they have not done a great job getting their movie offerings into the common consciousness, but I do think Netflix has done a real good job making their TV shows sort of cultural events, right? When Stranger Things comes out, everyone's like, oh my God, Stranger Things, how late were you up binging the whole thing? And I think that transitioning into a physical space is potentially a good way to take advantage of that event nature of viewing. It's because viewing a new Netflix thing is an event. Okay, well now we're going to give you a place to go and communally do it together. I like it. I mean, but does that mean they're going to be like, all right, we're going all night, binging both seasons of whatever, and if you leave to use the bathroom, we lock you out? Only the strong survive.
I mean, they could do that, which would be cool. If they had those special events where people wanted to binge, they could do that. If you want to get stuck with people for that long.
I mean, do it maybe film festival style, where they're just showing 10 hours of whatever, and people just kind of wander in and out.
I got nothing. You're not my best friend anymore.
Well,
I'm
good.
sorry.
You're not allowed to say that anymore.
Who says I'm not allowed to say that?
Everybody says it. The government, they're shutting it down.
I'm glad we've moved on from that terrible paradigm.
But then that means Jason was never my best friend to begin with.
Well, good. Way to be a healthy person who doesn't rely on outdated modes of... I don't even think that's what they're doing.
Now
honestly.
I'm feeling left out.
I think this is one of those, like...
Jared, you're my new best friend.
I think this is an overreaction to kids being told to invite everyone in the class to their birthday party.
I mean, obviously it is. Like the reason I chose this story, I mean, it's not even something that I think anyone's going to be like, I don't know, maybe best friends are kind of shit. But no, it's just like, as somebody who has a kid of the age that would be in a school that would be encouraging this, it's just one of those things where it's like, for fuck's sake, what are we doing? Like, what are we actually accomplishing here by telling kids they're not allowed to have best friends? Or if they have best friends, they're not allowed to refer to them as best friends.
I'm surprised you're saying that.
Who cares if... whatever. He'll edit it out.
Who cares if radio edit
has...
little radio edit.
Little baby
what a
radio
pretty
edit.
name.
Yeah. Well, who cares if she has best friends?
No, I'm surprised that you're saying that because she had a bit of a problem, actually, with... an older kid becoming her best friend. Older, I say older. She's 3 and this kid is 5.
35.
35.
It was a real problem.
Like, they're allowed to say best friend or whatever. And to be fair, our daughter every day has a new best friend.
Yeah.
But this other girl kind of claimed her as her, like, best friend and was, like, fighting other people off from being allowed to play with her. And so then the teachers actually had to, like, separate them because this girl was like...
But that's fine.
Yeah, if anybody cared that much about me to fight other people, that'd be pretty cool.
Well, I mean, it's
Jared,
just...
I'll fight anybody.
Like,
for you.
on the one hand, like, you know, it's like, oh, you can't say that that's a best friend. Well, okay, whatever. But on the other hand, I mean, if I hadn't experienced this, I don't think I would understand this whole possessiveness thing. But having watched this play out, I can sort of see where it's coming from.
That seems like kind of an extreme case, though, because, like, in this story, it seems like they're kind of talking more about, like, if you say this person's your best friend, then you're excluding all these other people, which I feel like when you're a kid, none of that stuff matters. Like, unless you're, like, explicitly doing something like what was happening to your kid, or someone is, like, saying, like, sometimes kids can be mean, obviously, and they're like, this kid's my best friend and I don't like you. Like, that's a little bit different.
Or by saying, like,
Although,
you're not my best friend anymore.
Here's the thing. To be fair, with the, like, I don't like you and you're not my best friend anymore, having been around a lot of really small children now, kids do that all the time. Like, every day is like, you're my best friend. You're not my best friend anymore. I don't want to be your friend anymore. I love you. You're my best friend now. Like, that's just sort of how they are. So I don't necessarily think it's that hurtful even. I
know a guy who's in his 30s who still refers to his other guy as his best friend. And I'm always like,
Jared, we're right here.
Isn't that weird? His name is Justin, and I'm always like, isn't that kind of weird to be saying that? Do you guys still use that? I guess I'm being judgy or whatever, but I'm okay with it.
I mean, I have people that I refer to as, like, my closest friend.
No, you call Jason Paris your best friend.
No, I don't.
In hushed tones and in back rooms, I will refer to certain people as best friends. But sometimes when I hear a guy my age, like, hanging out, he's like, I'm going to get my best friend to come. I was like, can't you just say friend? Seems weird to me.
That would be an understatement of how much I value my friendship with him.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm not a guy, so maybe because you seem to be really harping on the guy thing, but I still call my best friend, I call her my bestie, I guess. We say that we're besties.
I guess I feel like it's normal for women, but it seems weird when men do it. I don't know.
Because it involves emotion?
Yeah, I don't like that.
I think that's entirely what it is, you know? You're allowed to have your bros, but if you have some sort of, like, mushy emotional feeling of affection, you know, that's just not okay. You're supposed to be a stony skin, ice-hearted murderer with no feelings.
With no feelings and
anger, hunger, and whiskey. And
when you murder someone, you call Jason Paris Esquire and you get him to defend you.
You get him to use his lie parts. No, I made the mistake once of openly telling Jason Paris in public that I thought we were best friends, to which I found out that I was his oldest friend. And then I realized I had made a terrible mistake.
I don't really do the best friend. I don't know.
All friends are created equal.
Right? I mean, well, because it's such a fluid thing. You know, in my mind, your best friend is the friend that you kind of just spend the most time with. Like, if you've got a friend that you were just like, if in doubt, you're probably hanging out with them. And we live in different cities. So, I mean,
so
maybe my...
different zip codes means you get to cheat on your best friend. I was going to say,
to be fair, my bestie lives in Cincy, and I hadn't seen her. I saw her in person at Thanksgiving, and before that, I hadn't seen her in 3 years.
But Jason lives a very progressive lifestyle. He bucks normal trends of society.
I think that the best friend is whatever lizard you see on a given day.
Sometimes Jason's friends with water. Sometimes it's diet soda. Sometimes it's Gatorade.
It's never Justin, though.
It's always very fluid. Whatever it is he's best friends with is very
amazing.
fluid.
I wondered where you were going with that, and I respect the hustle. That was a good one.
Thanks, legitimate person with whom I share friendship.
Oh my god. And maybe I don't like the best friend terminology because I've just internalized that being uncomfortable with emotions thing that you know Teresa brought up.
I'm his oldest friend at 31. His newest friend is 6 months old.
No, I would like to state for the record also that this is something that Justin brings up fairly regularly.
Because I don't have best friends.
That Jason's his best friend, or that Jason won't admit that he's his best friend?
No, that Jason's not my best friend, so I don't need best friends.
Right, and like. This happened years ago. Like when Justin and I were first together. And
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I had a best friend broke my heart years ago, and I guess I've been gun shy.
If I had known, I would have kissed you. Okay, Jason. I'm sorry. I just wasn't comfortable at that point in my life, and you've held it against me ever since.
Jason moves fast.
Like this is. Yeah, right? Watch out. I feel like this whole show so far has been less a podcast and more like a group therapy session.
Yes. But just for Justin.
Just for me. My problems with movie theaters.
Jason doesn't want to be my best friend.
Oh my god! I will call you my best friend if that would make you feel better.
Really, I don't even care if it makes him feel better. I just want it to stop. Like, I want to stop talking about it.
I want you guys to create the transition for the next article: why Justin's parents are awful and he hates them. Special thanks to my friends at the Washington Post for coming up with that one on last minute notice.
Oh my god. But yeah, so I mean, I think this conversation has been a great example of how labels can be dangerous and getting too wrapped up in whether someone is your best friend can be deleterious. And we're not even 3 to 5 year olds.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
No, I don't. I honestly, I get the idea of having like closest friends as an adult. I really am like, I don't know if I would refer to them as best friends. I think it means the same thing, but I feel like
best, I feel like is a ranking thing. Cause like my 2 closest friends are like brothers to me, but I don't live near them. I don't even talk to them every day. But like sometimes if I go weeks without talking and we talk again after a couple weeks, it's, you know, we pick up where we left off. It's like, you know, it's like family to me. So it's not, I don't think of them as my best friends. They're just like the closest people who aren't actually blood.
Because I was going to say, I could name who I would consider your best friend, Jared, just because, and I could be totally wrong, but because I've had to explain, like, if I was showing, like, pictures of Extra Life before or whatever, it'd be like, there's Jared and there's this other guy. Who's that other guy? Oh, that's Jared's best friend.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like, that's Jared's friend who's really more like a brother. They have kind of a more familial bond. Sometimes they don't talk.
No, I mean, I don't know. I think that a mentor of mine for a number of years, she has a theory that, and I mean, I guess it's sort of not even a theory. It may border on a tautology, but I always like the way that she said it, is that you remain friends with people as long as you have something to offer each other. And not necessarily like, you know, I give you money, you give me money, and so we're friends. But no, it's like
Justin is only friends with drug dealers.
Yes. But you know, it's like when you develop a friendship with someone, it is because there's something in the other person that you need in your life. And then after they have taught you that thing, or you have learned that thing, or you have acquired that thing, you know, it just naturally begins to drift apart. And that's just the nature of relationships and friendships. And I don't think that doesn't, I think that makes sense. And it sort of is a really interesting way to look at relationships. And it negates, you know, when you're young and you need, you know, your social circle, and you need to have those, you know, relationships are super important to the development of social skills and things like that. Having a best friend or a couple best friends is an important thing. Once you grow up and you have your established social circles and your work and et cetera, the idea of a best friend sort of becomes irrelevant.
I kind of agree, and I want to jump on...
I want to jump on this as fast as I can, Justin. You're not my best friend.
No, I want to kind of jump on what Jared said, where it's not, at this point in my life, it's not the way I think of people. You know, I have lots of friends, but then there are people like you, Justin, who I really think
but not you.
Right. Who I think of more of as like
acquaintances.
Chosen family.
Distant cousin.
You know, you have the family you're born with and the family you get to choose.
Foreign acquaintance who I bumped into on the street once.
And that is my thought on that.
Well, I think that my thing is that, like, I think that maybe the negative thing about saying that these children can't have best friends is that it is good to say that you should have a lot of good friends, because that's one of the things that people are talking about. Okay, well, if we endorse a policy which says we should have a lot of good friends, then that's better than having a best friend. But I would say that maybe the more important lesson is that, like, you can have a best friend and still have a lot of good friends and still treat everyone around you well. Like, liking one thing more does not mean that you do not like other stuff. So maybe just teaching kids not to be assholes.
Yeah. Though I did like the end of the...
I mean...
Go on.
Sorry.
No, go on.
Go ahead.
No.
I think
I'll
it is
go.
like... You know, it's about avoiding social hierarchies also. Like, you know, because you got a best friend and then, well, you're not cool enough. That's my best friend. And I don't know. I get it, you know...
This also isn't something you can stop outside of the school. Okay,
True,
don't worry, Tracy, you're my best
encourages-
friend. I just can't tell you at school.
Right. I mean, I guess maybe hopefully it also encourages kids to, I mean, having a broad-based social circle is important. You don't want to get, you know, codependent with one or two people and then, you know, one of them goes on a trip or moves and then you're devastated and I don't know, just can never let go of the exact terminology that they use to refer to you. Ever again, you know, stay up at night.
Don't say those words. Only he says those words.
Stay up at night, pester their wife.
Stay up at life.
Pester their wife about their best friend that moved away and won't reciprocate anymore.
I mean, we've had a lot of fun here, but I think Justin does deserve some credit for having legitimate breakthroughs. You know, and we should reward that. We shouldn't only ridicule him.
So wait. First you say you're not my best friend, then you say I've made enough progress that you're not my therapist anymore either. How much loss can you expect me to handle?
So Justin might have abandonment issues. I don't know.
This entire thing has been nothing but you using your lying parts.
Oh man, you know, I wasn't crazy about that joke at first, but it's really like growing on me.
Also, I just like the way the article ends. If anybody knows of a school with a policy banning kids from having or talking about having a best friend, please let me know.
Yeah.
Right?
I wrote this whole article, but I couldn't find any schools to comment. So if this really happens, please let me know.
Well, it's like, I don't know. It's sort of like the headline's kind of clickbaity. Are schools telling kids they can't have a best friend?
I don't
It's
know.
like a great
Just email me if it happens.
Right. It's like a great example of the rule that if a headline on the internet is a question, the answer is no.
Or IDK.
Right, because like then they go on talking about Like, not that at all, but just like, well, you know, we want kids to have lots of friends, and we don't want them, you know, pairing off too much, and we want everyone to be invited to birthday parties. That's different from telling kids they can't have a best friend.
Is this episode 43 of the Implied Nerdity podcast? Email us if you know. impliednerdity@gmail.com. Besides, really, the point that we should drive home here is who really needs best friends when you have video games?
Yeah, right? It's an interesting trend in early childhood education and whatever. It's just a crummy headline, the end.
Speaking of crummy, why don't we take a break and then we'll talk about video games?
Okay.
Hey, do you want to be here for this Grand Theft Auto discussion?
I can be here for some of it.
Is grab some goat cheese pasta. So
I can be here for like another 10 minutes.
Okay, hey, we're back.
So yeah, let's talk about GTA.
Yeah, according to MarketWatch.com, GTA 5 has sold 90 million units, putting its total haul for whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's like one of the... MarketWatch is saying that this piece of media, it's a video game, if no one knows.
if you didn't know, and if you didn't, how?
Averaging 18 million units sold a year for the past 5 years.
Supposedly, it has sold more than any movie ever, and probably any piece of media
in terms
ever.
of dollars.
Yes, in terms of dollars.
It has sold the most dollars.
It is a $6 billion game, and you know, no other game has come close. And even the biggest movies do not, you know, I mean, maybe more people see them, but they don't make as much money as this one game.
But can we talk about?
No.
I mean, I feel like I feel like the thing that
we don't do that here.
Market Watch isn't talking about here is
Billy Mitchell.
Billy Mitchell.
We need to talk about.
No, I feel like the thing that they're not talking about here is just like general hype cycle. Because part of the success of the franchise, in my mind, with Grand Theft Auto is how long they draw out between iterations. Because like Assassin's Creed as a counterexample, or Call of Duty rather as a counterexample, where they pump out a game a year, the sales aren't going to be as high. People are going to have their favorites. They're going to stay, you know, but when you if you look at it, Grand Theft Auto 3 came out in 2001. Vice City, the follow-up, came out in 2002. And there wasn't much growth between those.
Right.
And you
but
have
I get what you're getting at, but like, I think this is totally different because if there was no online component to GTA 5, then this wouldn't even be a conversation. Because like people aren't constantly just playing single player. It's the online that has grown to like ridiculous scales.
And that's go on. No,
well, just finish. To the point that people are the one of the big reasons is because this started on the generation of the Xbox 360 and PS3, and now they've ported it over to the PS4 and the Xbox One and the PC. So people are buying it multiple times, and they're buying it strictly to play. Well, not strictly, but mostly to play the online.
I thought that was an interesting point that the game might have really benefited from coming out right as there was a console generation shift.
And that's one of the things is that you had people who bought it on the 360 that then bought it on the Xbox One as well, to get the added features and the improvements and things like that. The online is absolutely a huge feature of it. But I mean, that's the thing. Even if GTA 5 had a really good online following, but GTA 6 came out in 2015, you wouldn't have the sales for GTA 5 that you did for GTA, or that you do now.
I don't know
rather.
if that's true because again, the online is a big thing. So what if GTA 6, they said, we're not doing the online, but we're going to keep 5, that GTA Online, we're going to keep that going. We're going to keep updating that. I think
that would just be bad game design.
I agree. I'm not disagreeing, but I'm saying I don't think everyone would immediately drop. It's all about the online. Like, there's no other reason that it's selling as many units. So like, and they keep updating the online, so people keep coming back to it. It's become, and especially on PC, there's so many mods that it's constantly something that people can play, and it's a huge sandbox.
And that's why I think also that when they're like, look, it's sold so much more than movies. I mean, like, no shit. With a movie, it's kind of a static thing. Like and people will, rent a movie or whatever. But once you've seen a movie once, it's not like it's going to keep giving you new content over and over and over again. But with this, there's the multiplayer function.
But that argument takes into consideration, they're not talking about the fact that there are 90 million people still playing it.
No, I know. But Justin, with sales, like the sales are going to they're going to be making money because this isn't just like, I'm assuming that they're also talking about people buying things like DLC and shit like that. People are putting money into, they were talking about the store that you can buy stuff. I mean, that's how they keep making money off of it. That's why a video game is kind of always going to be more profitable than a movie in the end, because if you keep offering more good content that keeps people engaged, they will keep giving you their money for the same thing.
And they do talk about the interactivity of it being a big part of it. But
Well, they talk about it in an interesting business sense that I'd never thought of, which is because the product is interactive, you get a lot more fine-grained data about what your audience is responding to, what works, what doesn't.
Yeah.
But like the argument I was making with the frequency of the iterations, I was working at GameStop for the release of 4 and 5. And the selling points for 4 and 5, like one of the big things that they told the salespeople to talk about was how cool this game is, how much advancements there are, and that GTA serves as a benchmark for other open world games because it comes out so infrequently that every time it comes out, it sets the bar. And that's a big talking and selling point. And then we're 2013, we're 5 years in. I was just in a GameStop yesterday. Somebody bought a copy of GTA 5 and they said they were having a conversation with the guy behind the counter going, man, when are they going to come out with the next one? Man, these GTA games, they only come out once every 5 to 10 years. Oh man, I can't wait for the next one. But, then they're like, oh, but hey, do you want to pre-order Assassin's Creed fucking balls to the wall? And they're like, well, no, I'm still 4 Assassin's Creeds back because in the time it took me to beat Assassin's Creed 3, 11 fucking Assassin's Creed games came out.
Yeah, but I don't get what your point is, because it's not like that guy's buying his 20th copy of GTA 5 just going, man, it gets better each time I buy it.
No, he's not. But what I'm saying is that there's a hype cycle to it.
And you don't have to make a new game every year to keep selling at a consistent level every year. I don't know. I think Rockstar very much puts a quality over quantity kind of thing
That's
into their work.
That's what I was about to say, actually. Yeah.
And I love this article because we have now data that proves once and for all what frustrated gamers have been saying for years, which is if you put out a better game, you will make more money. Stop trying to nickel and dime me.
Right. Well, and also hey, okay, if a game takes a long time to come out, maybe it'll still be good and it can still be profitable. Rushing something out is not necessarily, it's obviously not going to make gamers happy, but it's also not going to help your bottom line.
No.
Because if you're talking about games that have been really well received, I mean, obviously GTA was super well received and it's made a ton of money. Cuphead took for fucking ever and people loved it. So take your time. Take your goddamn time.
I mean, I'll say this much. I think that the article itself from Market Watch is a really interesting look at the industry that helps prove points that otherwise, get bemoaned as arguments. But at the same time, it also shows that there's a lot of investors out there that are very out of touch with what the game industry is. Cause one of the last couple paragraphs, they talk about how everybody's real uncertain if Take-Two Interactive is going to have another success the likes of GTA 5. And they're like, who knows? We're sure that they're going to have some, other big hits, but another GTA 5 isn't likely. Yeah, it is. It's called GTA 6. And it'll probably be just as big, if not bigger. And then they also are
I don't know. I kind of took that point well. GTA 5 benefited from a lot of historical trends. The biggest one being I bought it for my 360. Oh, but I just bought an Xbox One and I really like it. I'm going to buy it,
A lot of places ran promotions, though, where like you could, if you had it on the 360 and you bought it within X period of time and you bought an Xbox One, they would just you'd give them your 360 copy and they would give you an Xbox One copy. But then also, but also saying, they said the possibility exists that upcoming titles such as the fall slated Red Dead Redemption 2 may be equally valuable, but it's remote. If it doesn't have an online feature, that's probably true.
Be online.
But there's going to be online, and Red Dead Redemption, the original Red Dead Redemption, hands down one of the greatest video game experiences out there that you can
ever made. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
So this is
Red
somebody
Dead 2.
who's never played Red Dead Redemption saying, well, they're coming out with Red Dead Redemption 2 and it's the same company, but it probably isn't going to be as popular. Are you fucking kidding me?
No, it won't be as popular as GTA 5. Red Dead Redemption 1 wasn't as popular as the other GTA games. Like, in terms of, if we're talking about just in terms of units sold or money made, it wasn't as popular. But, I mean, there's hype for Red Dead Redemption 2, so it might sell more. And if they have an expansive online component, maybe.
I think we also can't forget that GTA still benefits from the fact that it gets all of this cultural pushback of any video game, like a violent video game or whatever. Whenever anybody thinks about that, the moral police are always citing Grand Theft Auto. And I think that has pull, especially even for gamers who just want to fight back against the tide.
Culture.
Yeah.
Well, and I love that they embraced it, and instead of going in like the Mortal Kombat direction of making it more and more ridiculous and gruesome, they're like, okay, fine, we're going to make these games so good that you can't ignore them. And you can't just poo-poo them as like, the end of society.
I was a little pissed off, though, that Market Watch decided to the foundation of this article was a weird sort of unnecessary and misguided commentary on the violence and adult nature that makes up GTA games. Because they use that to get your clickbait headline, this violent video game has made more money than any movie ever. And then they talk about it from a statistical standpoint that was super interesting. But then like at the bottom of the article, they're like, oh yeah, it's a great game, but they say some mean things about women and there's some really gross torture sequences.
Well, I mean, that's true.
But I mean, it's true, but it's like, there's really no reason. This article doesn't have anything to do with that. And I just don't see why it was necessary to bring up the argument other than that's how they're going to draw people in, to at least say that they commented on the nature of the game being kind of bad.
No, I think that it's just that, I mean, at least for me, it was that even though, like, we know that GTA is pretty violent and horribly misogynistic, it still has made so much money that it's obviously, like, I'm surprised that you don't like that. Because honestly, what that says to me...
Are you kidding? I fucking love misogyny.
No. But what I'm saying is, like, what that says to me is, hey, this has made so much fucking money. It means it's super fucking widespread. So the argument that if a child plays GTA, they're going to go shoot up their school, to me, this is evidence that that's not true. There are so many people putting money into this game and playing this game. And if all of them were turned into, like, violent psychopaths, we would have a pretty different world out there.
Except that you make that argument, and the counter argument is instantly, look at how many school shootings there are on a regular basis in this country.
Stop.
Yeah, well, I was going to kind of take it in the other direction, which is to say that I don't think it's wrong to point out that Grand Theft Auto deals with adult themes.
Yeah.
And because it is a sandbox game, you certainly have the freedom to live your worst life in the Grand Theft Auto world. But I think they are, and I don't fault this article on this. This article is like a Market Watch article on how much money it's made. So like the fact that they didn't get into the like cultural importance of Grand Theft Auto, it doesn't bother me that much. But we can all, I wonder if it's not sort of failing to get a pass it deserves because it's a video game, because we all accept movies that feature sex, racial slurs, misogyny, violence, when there is a story purpose for all of that, and when we can agree that this is art, this is commentary, this is not just, torture for torture's sake. And I think what is missing from this article is pointing out that maybe why it has been so successful is in part because it does deal with all of these intense themes without necessarily just making it you know, look at this, look at what you can do. But like, there's a story, there's weight to all the choices you make, things like that. Games is art.
There you go. No, I mean, like, I would disagree. I think that there are certainly movies that would also, like, do the same thing, but I don't know. Never mind. I don't have a point. Justin just left.
I don't know if I had a point either, but it took me a lot of words to say it, so I'm sure it's fine.
I'm sure it's true. It had a lot of words, so.
I heard my voice saying it, so it was probably wise.
Well, I guess I don't. I mean, I think of like Tarantino movies. Everyone agrees that he's a great director and his like artistic eye is spot on, and he makes interesting, unique films. And they are very intense and very violent, but that is as often cited as a positive as it is a negative. And for Grand Theft Auto, the fact that it's violent is always just bad. And I think that's because it's a video game and we still have this cultural baggage that video games are children's toys.
Well, so even though I do not agree with the whole, like, video games or children's toys or whatever, I think that part of it is the interactivity. I think that it's the idea that you are putting yourself in the situation where you are choosing to torture somebody or, you know, beat up a prostitute or whatever. Because when you're watching a movie, it's a much more passive experience.
Well, I say give your gamers a little credit. You know, if that scene made you squeamish when you played through it, maybe it made everyone else squeamish. Maybe that's the point. Maybe the point of art is to make you feel something.
Yeah, that's true. Or if it didn't make you squeamish, but that's because you recognize that it is, you know,
fantasy,
a video game. Yeah, like,
right.
That's okay. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with being like, I did something in this video game that I certainly would never do in real life, because in real life, I'm not okay with it. But in something that I know is entirely fucking fake, okay, why the fuck not?
Right.
I mean, I think games are going to be like that for quite a long time anyway. It has to do a lot with, like, generation stuff. I mean, it ultimately always does when, like, the older generation, they don't understand the difference between... they don't understand. They think, like Tress said, because of the interactivity, it doesn't feel like you're just viewing something. It feels like you're participating in it. But which I would say, like, maybe you've never played a video game, or maybe it only feels like that to people who don't play a lot of video games. Because at a certain point, when you've cut off so many people's heads in video games, it just feels, you just see it as a mechanic, and you don't really see it as anything else. Sometimes,
right. Well, and I think that the generational thing, too, it applies to all forms of media. And I think we've talked about this before, where, like, originally it was like movies, ooh, dangerous, gonna be super bad. And then, like, TV came along and it was like, all right, well, maybe movies are okay, but TV, like, bad. And we're honestly still kind of just getting into the place where we're viewing TV as art, because we started seeing movies as art. TV was kind of that, it's like bastard younger cousin, I guess, that wasn't, you know, it wasn't art. It was just like a lower form. And now we're starting to get into TV as art. So eventually video games will get there. We just have to get some other form of media to abuse. Something new that we think is dangerous and worthless. It'll come around.
Oh, the children.
Right, exactly.
The children.
I mean, people used to say that about books. So come the fuck on, you know?
No, it's absolutely true. When the printing press was dangerous, and, you know, I mean, anytime the powers that be are faced with a communicative medium that they maybe can't control, people are going to share ideas and messages that we deem antisocial. They're going to freak out about it.
So video games will get their day, and we will be the pioneers who said it was art from the beginning.
Oh my God. Speaking of nonsense moral panics, I forget where I heard it. I think it was in Drunk History. About how when bicycles first became a thing, there was this moral panic about housewives hopping on their bikes and, like, who knows where they're going to go and what they're going to do.
Okay, it's funny you say that, because this is like the weirdest story in the entire world. But when I was young, my mother, who is extremely old, she is going to be turning 90 very soon, she was, like, really afraid to let me ride a bike because she thought that it was, like, I didn't really understand what the problem was at the time because I was, like, really young. But basically she thought that, like, the bike was gonna somehow, like, sully my feminine self, I guess. But then this is like the weirdest story. Jared, you'll probably have to edit this out. But when I was like 9 years old, I was riding my bike and I like stubbed it into something and it fell in between my legs and I started bleeding because apparently my bike fucking took my virginity in a very specific way. And my mother had a breakdown.
That happens to a lot of girls.
Yeah, I actually know a girl that happened to as well.
My mom, like, lost her shit. And she was like, I just remember her being like, I knew this would happen. This is exactly what I was afraid of with her riding bikes. And I was just like, what the hell?
You'll never get married now.
Right, I was going to say, was she worried that you wouldn't, like, be able to get married or something?
Yeah, I don't know. She was, like, really concerned about it. And then when it actually happened, which is pretty funny, because as an adult, if she had told me that this was a fear, I'd be like, but how ridiculous is that? That's so stupid. But yeah, then she just took it as, like, confirmation that this was like a horrible, terrible thing and that bikes like ruin women, I guess. I don't know.
Who invented the bike? Was it a man? He did it just for this specific reason.
Yes. No, if there's a moral panic, my mom is involved. Like, I promise you, she's always in a moral panic about everything.
Never put your vagina near anything.
Yeah, pretty much.
Moral of the story.
The world, ladies, the world is basically coming after your vagina. So, my mom is also, this is like the weirdest fucking story. I'm so glad she doesn't listen to this podcast. My mom also would never let us go camping when I was young, and I like didn't understand why. And then I went camping with like...
You'll get raped by a bear.
No, it's even weirder. It's even weirder, I promise. So... I went camping like with my friends later, and then I went camping with Justin, and finally I was like, Mom, like, why can't we go camping? And I assumed it was because she like grew up in, New York City where are you going to go camping? And it turns out that it's because she's convinced that if there's no bathroom and you go to the bathroom as a woman in the woods, a snake will, and I quote, jump up your vagina. I was like, okay, are you familiar with like snakes at all? Like, I don't think they can just like leap. I don't know.
What was the reason they would do that?
I don't know. I think it's this idea. Maybe it's because she's old that like everything is trying to deflate, like to somehow like sully you as a woman. Everything is after your vagina. It's like the world is nefarious. It's coming for you. Nature, bicycles.
Everything was made to break that hymen.
I'm sorry, why not your butt? Like, why doesn't the snake jump up your butt?
Well, exactly.
That's what I always,
why aren't we all
That's
at
what
risk?
I tell girls all the time. Why not the butt? They're like, I poop from there, though.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, who knows? But according to my mom, it's a very specific thing that the snake will like come to you while you're squatting and peeing and just jump up your vagina specifically.
For whatever reason, this really reminds me of so I took
this porn I saw.
No, I took some psychology classes in college, and one thing that we talked about were culturally specific disorders.
Yeah.
And there are a number of culturally specific disorders that basically boil down to men being just irrationally anxious and afraid that their penis is going to fall off or that it's shrinking and it's going to disappear into nothing. And I don't know why, but this fear of like, if I expose my vagina to nature is just going to jam itself right up in there. Is really sort of similar. Yeah. I don't know why, but it just tweaks the same thing in my brain as like, I don't know why, but I am just convinced that this part of my body that is totally attached is going to run away in the middle of the night. I am
constantly at risk of losing my penis. There are forces in this universe that are trying to steal my penis from me.
I mean, look, I'm not saying, swing it around near saws or anything. Like, take care. You only get one per life, but...
Not that there's anything wrong with doing the windmill, guy. If you want to have a little fun.
Just make sure there's nothing sharp around. No snakes.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe
bicycles,
no snakes.
Especially.
Well,
bicycles are really bad for your testicles.
Yeah. Yes, they are. There's also a terrifying, very small fish in the Amazon. I just read about this in a book yesterday. So this is oddly good timing. But it like frequently, if you're in that area, will swim up the urethra of a man, and then like it once it gets in there, it sticks these spines out so it can't be removed. And so that's like the only time that a doctor would perform a piotomy, which is where they take your penis away.
Oh.
Is that real? I thought those fish were a myth.
No, they are real. I thought they were a myth too, but yeah, no, I was reading a book about the Oxford English Dictionary, and this guy that contributed a lot cut off his own penis, and then it led into a discussion about like why your penis would ever get cut off.
Good decision.
Yeah, it was weird.
That's like nature's sounding.
All right, dude.
Yeah, yep, sounding.
For sure, dude.
I don't know. I just don't know. This got way off topic.
Yes, it did.
What were we talking about? GTA
We were
5?
talking about GTA 5. Also, before Justin left, he was pointing to the other articles, and he was like, talk about these. And I was like, yeah!
Don't worry, Justin. We got it. We got it covered.
All right. Okay, I got it. Ready? We're gonna do speed round.
All right.
I'm gonna take the reins a little bit here. I believe in us. So, of the 3 articles, speed round articles, I could only read 2 of them. However, number 1, German shoppers sample burgers made of buffalo worms. In Germany, in a supermarket, they're handing out free samples of burgers, the patties of which were made of ground up worms. Terry, go.
Gross. Actually, probably not gross. I would eat it. Go ahead. Somebody else, Jared.
I don't want to talk about this. I want to talk about genital piercings.
All right.
He'll only eat the worms if they have genital piercings.
Cock rings. So I don't know. That seems cool. Whatever. I'll eat worms. I've eaten worms before. It's not the first time, but you put them in a patty and it tastes good. I'll eat it. Whatever. There's a lot of arugula on that one. Settle down, guys. I like arugula, but come on.
That's true. I'll eat a
it's
patty
all
of
about
pretty
the
much
balance.
anything. Yeah. Jason's right. It's all about the balance. I make burgers out of all kinds of shit, honestly. And it drives Justin crazy because whenever I'm like, we're having burgers, and he's like, burgers? And I'm like, it's actually made of cauliflower, and then he cries. But it's all about the flavors.
You should get some Beyond Burgers and see if he notices.
He bought some yesterday, actually.
Have you tried them
We
yet?
haven't. We have not.
You got to let me know what you think.
Have you had an
about
argument about them yet?
We have not. No, I think that we're not going to argue about those because neither of us say we're vegan, so it doesn't deeply offend Justin.
them. Yeah.
But no, he argues about the cauliflower burgers, the wild rice burgers, the mushroom burgers, although he ends up liking them all, so whatever.
Turns out if you just take food that's already decent by itself and just smash it into a patty, it still tastes pretty good.
It's true. It's true. A burger is a good vehicle for pretty much anything, so.
All right, follow-up question. Is a burger a sandwich, Jared?
Of course, yes. So is a hot dog.
You
Teresa?
suck. Burgers, yes. Hot dogs, abso-fucking-lutely not.
Okay.
Jason?
I'm torn. I haven't come to a final decision on hot dogs. I agree that a burger is a sandwich. Micah is very disappointed in me. She thinks it is a unique food and it is a constant point of friction.
I hate to disagree with Micah because I do love her. But yeah, no, I mean, it's stuff between 2 buns. I mean, that's,
Well, like if a submarine sandwich is a sandwich, why isn't a hot dog a sandwich?
because it's the bun is connected at the bottom. I can't.
So is a submarine sandwich.
It's like a sausage sandwich, but the sausage is a hot dog.
I don't
Why
like it.
why do the
I
ingredients
think you might be
matter?
convincing me, Jared. I don't know.
I know, like, as he's saying this stuff, I can see his point, but also I feel very firmly that hot dogs are not sandwiches, and anyone who says that they are is the worst, so...
Well, in my mind, I agree with, like, hot dogs and burgers are their own things, and even subs are kind of their own thing. They're not even sandwiches. But if we're talking about, like, the official Jared dictionary, then they're all sandwich. They all fall under the sandwich species.
Everyone should read the book, The Professor and the Murderer, by the way. Is that what it's called? I don't know. Hold on.
Everyone should read a book. I don't know what it's called, but you should find it and you should read
I'm
it.
recommending a book, but I don't know what it is.
Okay, so the next article on the speed round, the one I didn't get to read because the link didn't work, is that the winner of RuPaul's Drag Race wants to voice a character in Overwatch. I don't play Overwatch and I don't watch Drag Race, so I have no feelings about this whatsoever.
Jinx Monsoon, who was the winner of season 5, apparently is really, really into Overwatch. She wants to be the queen of Junkertown. There's already somebody else that has voiced it, but it's only been on a map. And so they were like, if it's a bigger character, she should totally do it. She's done a bunch of like cosplay as this character.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I just think it's neat because I always...
So there's like an emotional connection between them.
Like she wants to do it not because she's like the winner of Drag Race, because she's just a super fan. And I just think it's really cool. I always enjoy these kinds of things. Like also when Joe, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Magnaniano, the guy, he was also in Magic Mike, when he was talking about how he really and Vin Diesel have talked about how they like Dungeons and Dragons. I always like when somebody famous who doesn't fit the profile of what we believe a gamer or a tabletop gamer or whatever, when they express that they're a super fan of something. I always think that that's cool. So,
Jared?
I have no feelings. I don't know. Whatever. I don't care who voices what. I played a lot of Overwatch, but I mean...
Do you have feelings about non-voice actors acting in video games?
No. I mean, I don't care. As long as the voice acting's good, I don't care.
Oh, I didn't even think of that angle.
Because she's a performer, but not a voice actress.
Celebrity getting a voice acting role instead of a voice actor.
I mean, that happens all the time. I guess I don't really care. Like, especially because the Queen of Junkertown probably doesn't have a very big role in the game. So you're probably not taken away from... I don't know. And a lot of times these voice actors will do multiple characters. So you might be taking away one character from somebody. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. I don't know the specifics, though.
And our last stop on the speed round, we need to stop celebrating 420, and here's why, is the name of the article.
And the point of the article is that it's celebrating the negative part of cannabis culture, where if we want it to be more readily accepted, we have to make it more accessible to everybody and not just wear a bunch of weed-colored glasses.
Oh, I kind of took it the opposite direction. The way I read it was that 420 was okay when it was a countercultural, thing, but now that it's like accepted and, marijuana culture has largely become adopted into mainstream culture, where you've got apps and even police departments putting out tweets making 420 jokes. I don't know. I kind of took it as like 420 isn't cool anymore because now the popular kids like it.
Yeah, that's not how I took it at all. I took it as like, look, it was kind of important when there was no accepted cannabis culture. But at this point, okay, we know that recreational use is a thing. It's actually pretty accepted. But if we want it to be legalized, it has there's one part where they mention it has to be accessible to a soccer mom in the same way that wine is, or a grandma or whatever, that it's got to be one of these substances that's viewed in a more neutral way instead of just a crazy party way.
Right.
And so I thought that was interesting. I did think that the tweet by that police department was pretty funny. There's a picture that a police department put up on Twitter on 420 of, they called it a trap. And it was some Doritos, GTA 5, Taco Bell, just a bunch of, things that they would, I guess, sort of stereotypical things that they thought somebody who was smoking a lot of weed would like. And then there's a policeman creepy crouching in the background.
With a net.
Yeah, it made me laugh. I didn't want to laugh, but I did. It was pretty funny.
I enjoyed it. I guess I will agree with this article that 420 has kind of turned into what St. Paddy's Day has turned into for drinking.
Yes.
Which, that's not great. I mean, overindulging in anything isn't good for you. This has become... Sorry, back on topic. Jared, what do you think? Lightning round.
I don't know. I don't really have it. Well, I guess I didn't read the article, so, I mean, now I'm torn between the two different scenarios that you guys brought up.
Apparently, this article just means whatever you want it to.
I will say I have a counter argument, though, to this person, if the argument is what I thought it was, which is that there is an equally, there's the people who are just weed, party drug, and that's annoying. But there are people who are equally as annoying who act as though, it's not a party drug at all, and that also it's just a very serious panacea for anything that might ail you. It does have a lot of very real medical effects, but people who are do you have cancer? If you smoke weed, it'll cure it. Did you break your leg? If you smoke weed, it'll fix it. Are you depressed? Are you anxious? Absolutely every little thing that you could possibly say you have that weed will fix it. I find that to be a little bit annoying too. Also, I'm pro marijuana, so it's not that I'm oh, I have a problem with you. It's just more that I think those people are irritating.
I mean, I find anyone irritating that's into something too much. So
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Just like take it down a notch.
yeah, I don't care if you like it, man, but like you don't need to. I'm not asking you about it, so stop bringing it up.
I mean, I think I feel that way about most things, politics, religion, even. Like, you kind of do you, but when you start evangelizing at a certain point, it's like, okay, does this interaction have to be about that?
Right. Well, and I think apologists generally are annoying, where they're trying, like, this is why this is the best and it's good and blah, blah, blah. And then you're just like, I feel like this is not a very nuanced view. Goodbye.
Right. Can
I recommend a book? The book, because now I know what the name of it is.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Please.
I read a book yesterday called The Professor and the Madman, A Tale of Murder, Insanity, and the Making of the Oxford English Dictionary. It's not very long, and it is a historical account of when they made the Oxford English Dictionary and how it was done, and the fact that one of the major contributors was actually somebody that was in a criminal insane asylum for the entire period.
Oh, yeah, because he just had nothing but free time, right?
Yeah, he had nothing but free time and a bunch of books, and he was, like, delusional at night mostly, but during the day he was pretty much okay. He was a surgeon from the United States who had went to Yale, but then, like, went through some stuff. And it is, like, a really fascinating book. I mean, obviously the stories of the people in it are really interesting, but I also it was so fascinating to learn how the dictionary was made and how they determined what was going to go in it. Like, it is really, really compelling. And I learned so much. And it gave me a real appreciation of language and the Oxford English Dictionary and how we view words and how words evolve over time. For such a short, it's a little bit of a slog to get through because the writer is pretty verbose. Surprise, he's writing about the dictionary and he's verbose. But I really do recommend it. It was super enjoyable.
Cool. What's the name of the book again?
The Professor and the Madman. It's by Simon Winchester.
Cool. Anything else? Anybody?
Jared suggests you try sounding.
yeah. I'm making sounding videos. Check me out on the internet.
Sounding.com.
Oh, Jesus. I don't know. I heard that we were required to actually talk about the bonus stories. I feel like we've done that. We've got lots of stuff to cut and lots of stuff to use. I think we'll have easily over an hour-long episode cutting out everything about accidentally losing one's virginity to bicycles, yes. Genital piercings, etc., etc. I mean,
well, now that you named all that stuff, and people are going to be like, "Where's all the bicycle virginity losing?"
Well, you can cut out me talking.
I don't know
about.
if I can.
We don't. The audience doesn't need to hear us metagame the podcast.
Well, we're live right now, so.
Well, fuck.
Well, we've reached the end of episode 43 of the Implied Nerdity podcast. Thank you for listening to this whole thing. If you made it through, I hope you did. I hope you're listening to me right now, because otherwise I'm talking to no one. Isn't that weird?
I thought we were live, Jared.
Yeah, I'm just broadcasting locally on a ham radio. I'm talking into that at the same time. Hey, if you want to check out any of the stories that we talked about, there will be links on our website, which is thegrownupgeek.com. But I do want to thank the people who wrote those articles, or the websites that they wrote them on, such as the Netflix one in the theaters. That was from Gizmodo. The other one is Schools and Best Friends. That was from Washington Post. And Market Watch was the one that talked about GTA 5. As far as the extras that we did, the Worm Burgers is from Yahoo. The drag race thing is from... What's that supposed to say? Dote Sports, I guess. And
I have no idea. I couldn't open it.
Yeah, I don't know what that URL is supposed to be. And Mashable talked about Stop Celebrating 420. Thank you. Hey, our theme music is by Jonathan Killstring Hertzberger. You can check him out at killstring.bandcamp.com.
Do it.
Do that. Hey, if you got any questions or comments about anything we've talked about in this podcast, you can email us at impliednerdity@gmail.com.
Don't be a wuss. Do it.
Thanks for listening. See you next week.